So hi everybody, welcome. So this is a webinar where Jules is going to sing and play the guitar behind us.
And dance.
And dance, no, I'm joking. This webinar is around facilitating the three principles understanding. And we're kind of doing it in two parts. We run a facilitator training and an online facilitator training starting in January next year. And we've had a lot of people interested in that and asking us lots of questions. We've also had many questions around what it means to be a facilitator. How do you earn money from a facilitator? How does it differ from coaching, etc., etc.? So we thought what we'll do is we will do a webinar kind of highlighting both of those points. So what I wanted to do first, if we go over the facilitator training that we're offering, we'll give you a bit of an overview, take any questions. Once that's done, we'll then go over onto those questions around specifically facilitating the three principles. So I hope that's okay. Now, you might be interested in one and not the other, or the other and not the first one. So if you're not interested in us talking about our program, go and grab a cup of tea or a beer or water and come back, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. Or if you want to just hang around and listen, you're more than welcome. Or if you're interested in the first bit and not the second, the same goes for there too. So, okay, so the first thing is I trained in the good old days with Dr. Roger Mills. I know one or two of you probably had training with Dr. Roger Mills and Sydney Banks. And the training then was very different from what it is now. It was all about the feeling and it's all about kind of following your wisdom, so to speak. And things have changed quite a lot since those good old days. So training has got more and more expensive. And when I used to run physical trainings in the UK, residential retreats, I had to end up charging an awful lot of money because of my outgoings and VAT and corporation tax and costs and venues. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to create a deeply impactful, clarifying and connected community-based facilitator training without charging an enormous amount of money. And the only way we could actually do that was doing the whole thing virtually. And what has surprised us is that the difference in grounding between people who attended our courses physically and those who attended virtually is there was absolutely no difference in confidence to facilitate, in embodiment. And what we realized, we threw out the physical part and just did it all virtually because we didn't see any difference between the students. So that's one of the reasons we're doing it all online. And also, I mean, when you're physically traveling, apart from the costs of the training you've got to get there, there's airfares, taxis, there's hotel costs, there's eating out, there's being away from the family, there's leaving work, all of those costs, all of that costs money as well. So doing it virtually is a really good way for people to stay at home with the family, with the kids, not have to travel, and really cut the expenses down. So I'll give you a bit of an overview. So the Innate Evolution online three principles facilitator training, my goodness, that's a mouthful, is really for anybody who wishes to earn a living from sharing something that they love, being in alignment with one's heart and being of service to other people. It's a way in which, as a student, there's a lot of resources, webinars, and one-to-ones around embodying this understanding, which fundamentally means taking more of your mind and being more in alignment with this resonance behind life, if you will. But also, a large part of it, thankfully due to Jules here, is helping you guys actually get out there with your visibility, because you can be the best facilitator in the world, but if people don't know you're there, you're not going to really earn any money. And so can you talk a bit about that aspect, honey?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if many of you have heard my story. I've had a couple losses. I lost my son in a custody battle, and then my daughter in a fatal car accident. Um, Going through this, I fell into the principles after that, but yet experienced the same thing prior to that. And when I found out that there's this community out there, I thought a couple things. Well, there's this community out there, but yet they're not easily accessible. How come I didn't know about this? How come people that I've experienced in my travels that have approached me that have also experienced loss, how come they don't know about it? How come they don't know about you? And that is what I set out to do. I want to share this with the world. I want to share you with the world. It's something so beautiful. So I have a history, I have a background, I have a bachelor's in marketing, and I worked for about 11 years with a Fortune Forbes 500 company traveling around the United States and just marketing. And it was the top, again, it was a Fortune Forbes 500 company. They were a beautiful company yet, but they had a beautiful way of marketing. They resonated. They embodied what they presented out to the world. And that's what I want to do. Rudy has a very eloquent and amazing way to teach. But yet I think this will bridge the gap, because we can teach you and we can help you find that space within to facilitate, but yet setting you free without your website and without your marketing capabilities is it just doesn't do this beautiful understanding service and the people in which are so ready to receive. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. So apart from the 5 weekend courses, you guys have one-to-one mentoring with myself or Jules or one of the mentors. And if you wanted to spend that time working on your website, working on your social media presence with Jules, you can do that. So what we found is a lot of the students, they get the embodiment, but then Jules, basically, we create a website for you, and Jules helps you with that. We help you put, pay here buttons. We help you create online programs. We help you know how to get clients, to set payment buttons up on your website, to get a social media presence, a Facebook page. And I know all this technical stuff is way above many, many people's heads because it's a skill. And if you haven't learned it, I don't know how to build a house because I've never learned carpentry. So how would the average person know how to do any of this stuff without training? So Jules, well, we both do, because we actually do master classes around this during the training, apart from the 5 weekends. But Jules specifically shows you how to set up a business Facebook page, what to do with it, how to get out there, how to do posts, 3-point marketing. I show you all the video stuff. Like you can see us, we show this with our students. You can see us now. Now, I'm just going to do a quick example. This is how most people would see us if we didn't show our students what to do. So,
no microphone.
So this is how most people would see us and hear us. And then you add just a little bit, and all of a sudden you should be able to hear us better now. And now all of a sudden you should be able to see us better. So a lot of stuff is virtual. You're going to be talking to people virtually. You're going to be running things virtually. You're doing webinars virtually. So you want to you just want to look good. You want to sound good. So we help you guys just do little things like that.
And you say virtually, because some people are thinking, well, gosh, how can I get something from that's totally virtually versus going to a physical retreat? Well, what did Sid say? He said, look for a feeling. The feeling is non-physical. There are so many people, well, every single person on our 2019 training is so closely bonded. We create a private group for you on Facebook, and since the training has ended, the 2019 training has ended, that has not stopped the group, and that has not stopped their connection. They are now a family, and I can see them. I'll go peek, and they're like, well, let's meet up at this time. And they're all around the world. And you have the ability to meet and network and create friendship, a deep connection with people that you wouldn't normally have the opportunity to do so if this were a physical retreat. If it was mandatory for you to be here.
Yeah, so the students are collaborating with one another, they're doing courses with one another, online programs with one another. There's a community there. Because you know what? Many people can facilitate this understanding. Facilitate means to make easy. You create a space to make other people's lives easier, in a sense, but they don't have the confidence. Confidence comes from doing something. The more you do it, the more confident you feel that you can do it. And because of this, about halfway through the training, we shift gears, and then the students have practicums whereby students co-facilitate and they facilitate individually to the rest of the group on topics we give them. So they get practice talking to other people. What happens there is, like at the start of this training, it's interesting. We sent out a questionnaire. How confident do you feel to facilitate this understanding? The average mark was 2 out of 10. We sent the questionnaire after it finished, and the average mark was 8 out of 10. And when questioned, 3 of the students said to me, I would have put a higher mark than 8 out of 10, but I can't because there's always room for growth. So they demoted themselves to 8 out of 10. Now, there's something about doing something. Once you've done it once, you get a little bit more confidence. Once you've done it twice, you get more confidence. By the third or fourth time, you kind of know that you can do it. So that is why with the 2020 training, about halfway through the course, the participants will, again, this is voluntary because some people come just for the embodiment. And if you want to do that, you don't actually have to do any social media stuff. You don't have to do business development. You don't have to do the practicums. It's kind of up to you guys.
It's all inclusive.
It's all inclusive.
We don't charge extra for that. It's all inclusive. So you can come if you want. So these master classes that he speaks of are just sort of pop-up weekends, and we just kind of pick a weekend that works best for our group.
Yeah.
And then go from there. And they're like bonuses, gifts with the purchase, if you will.
We kind of ask the students, how are you guys doing? And if we get lots of people saying, I'm not sure about this, cool, let's do a masterclass on it.
And
so it's very off the cuff.
Yeah, like it's very, and they're just like gifts with purchases that just sort of pop up. And they are specific to our community of students. So whatever the need is, like children working in schools, we pulled somebody in to speak about the schools.
Yeah, head teacher.
Headmaster. Yeah.
So halfway through, you guys get to facilitate to the other students. You get to practice one-to-ones with the other students to give you the confidence. Then after the training finishes, there's a post-grad course to take it even further if you want to get more practice, called the Stepping Out, but we won't talk about that on this one. So I think that is it. It's completely online, 5 weekends, monthly webinars, master classes whenever they pop up. We have extra weekends specifically around talking to different populations, working with one-to-one clients. There's practice facilitating this, doing one-to-ones. My goodness, there's quite a lot to mention. Also, you can watch one-to-one. So I do one-to-ones with the volunteer students. You can kind of watch it in action, and we kind of break it down afterwards. And also, we've got a bank of resources of myself doing one-to-ones with people that students can watch. But again, I don't want you to do one-to-ones like Rudy, and I don't want you to talk like Rudy or Jules. We want you to... The original term of education is Latin, educo. Educo means to draw out from within. E meaning to draw out, and duco meaning progress. There's a progression of drawing out from within. That's the original meaning of education. So what we want to do is draw out everyone's beautifully unique voice, whether they want to do it as a comedy act, they want to do it in animations or drawings or sound or words or stories. There's no wrong, there's not a, the only thing that this doesn't say is there's not a way to say it. You can say it in any way that you want. You want to draw out the uniqueness of the individual. And what really warms my heart when I watch students in the practicum is that they don't sound like us.
Yeah.
And in a sense, I know this sounds contradictory, but we want people to throw away the three principles as a teaching. And we want them to go to the essence of it. And the essence for us is love, it's commonality, and it's allowing the space to talk through you in whatever words it needs in that moment without having to structure it into a specific thing. We want to de-thingify the three principles to the essence, and the essence is, I guess some people could call that wisdom, but there's a very, very, very constant logic behind how the human experience works, and there's something just majestic behind how we even get to experience in the first place. And this is kind of what we share with the students.
Yeah.
So that is a brief overview of the entire course. I've been talking a lot. I don't know if you guys have got any questions about the training. Can you please put it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask, because we just wanted to be guided by you guys as to where we wanted to go next before we go on to the next part. So if there's anything, please let us know. And I'm going to stop talking for a minute and just see. Oh yeah, go ahead, Bria.
Okay, just so I'm clear, the training is so to help us become a three principles facilitator ourselves, like with other people, either running workshops or one-on-one or whatever. It's like, that's what the training is?
Yeah, you get a certificate at the very end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question, Bria.
Yeah, you get a certificate as a three principles facilitator at the end of the training. And also for those brave souls who want to continue with us, our students are going to be presenting to our Innate Evolution platform. So they kind of get the practice talking to lots of different people.
Yeah. And then they also get listed on our website.
Yeah, listed as a practitioner on our website and going out to our contact list of thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what size of group of people are you looking for?
Oh, sorry, who is that?
Sorry, it's Steve.
Oh, hi, Steve.
I'm being invisible right now.
Oh, there you are. I'm seeing you. Yeah. So can you say that again, Steve?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what size of group are you looking for this particular tranche of people?
Sure. Well, we've capped the total at around 20 people. Last year, we got booked out early and couldn't take any more people on because we want to keep it fairly intimate. And again, everyone, you know, different facilitators have a different amount of people. For us personally, we want to keep it more as a family and keep the connection. And so, yeah, so 20 people is the answer. We don't really want to go over 20 people.
Okay. That sounds fine by me. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Hello. Just quickly, the weekends, so I believe it's 6 weekends, and I saw the times are about 5 hours, is that correct? On each day. Is that kind of based upon an intensive time? Because I've done intensives before, which sometimes start a bit early or finish a bit later. Do you base the 5 hours around any sort of previous experience with that being an impactful amount of time, or how to split the time?
Well, we found generally that more isn't necessarily better. And and so we want to get the maximum time without it being kind of a difficulty. So what we tend to do is we do 2 hours, we have about an hour's break, then we do another 2 hours per day. And I've had the opportunity of running facilitator training now, goodness, for about 8 years. And I personally found that about the optimum time to do. And any more, people kind of get a bit full.
Yeah.
Because the whole process of this is you want to take stuff off people's minds. And often when people go back into that space, it's such a beautiful space that they don't really want to hear anymore. so that's why we don't do any more than the 5 hours per day, which is actually really 4 hours per day.
Perfect, thank you. And the one-to-ones, is there a certain amount of one-to-one that you receive during the training, or is that kind of dependent on the progress of the individual?
Yeah, so 9 one-to-ones is included, and that can be with myself or Jules, or one of the mentors. And what we haven't said on the webinar is if people sign up, once they've paid the deposit, and I could show you guys how to do that in a minute, if you wanted to start the one-to-ones before January, you know, starting some of the 9 one-to-ones, you're welcome. And we also send you resources, connect you with the other students. So the training can kind of start as soon as you're ready to go. And it will formally be starting in January, but you could have one-to-ones and access to resources pretty much as soon as you sign up for deposit.
Perfect.
Cool. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
I was going to call you Charles, and I thought that sounds very posh, Charles. Cool. Any other questions, guys, at all? Okay.
Should we do that?
One technical thing. So what time zones are the weekend and seminars in? So because we're in Hawaii, which is very different from Europe, what we do, the time works really well for America and England, but not so well for Australasia. So in England, it starts at about 3:30 p.m. Hawaii, what's that? That's about 4:30 in the morning for us, isn't it? Yeah.
And
so
we've been known to stay up all night too, if need be, depending on the group. I mean, we've started at 11 o'clock p.m. and went until 4:30 in the morning, just to help our students, because you're the majority.
Yeah.
It's just us.
Yeah. I'm just going to share my screen. Hang on a minute. So let's move this out here. So just in case you haven't been to the page, if you go to innateevolution.com and click on training and certification, here's more about the training. Now watch these testimonials. We asked the students 5 questions and we got such amazing feedback that we've got 1 video per question. And it shows some of the statistics before and after, like their connection to something bigger themselves increased by almost half. It went from about 6 out of 10 to 9.5 out of 10. Confidence to facilitate 2 out of 10 up to 8 out of 10. So have a look at those videos. We talk about what we do with the business development, personal transformations, confidence to teach, what you've got from the training. And blah, 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 more stuff. You've seen it all before. This goes over the weekends. And then at the bottom here is where you can sign up. You can pay in 1 deposit. The early bird at the moment for this month is actually 2889. You can pay a deposit of £450, and then the rest of the money doesn't come out until January. So once you pay the deposit, you're in. We set you up with the resources. You can start the one-to-ones, and then you don't pay anything else until January. And then it's £271 per month for 9 months. So it's sort of manageable for most people. Or if you've got loads of cash, you can just give us to us in one go. But I prefer the installment options, to be honest.
Yeah.
But if you get a chance, have a look at the testimonials, because that much better than myself or Jill saying anything. Okay, let's minimize that. Stop share. So I don't know, we've got Beth. I mean, Beth was one of our students. Beth, I know we're putting you on the spot. Do you want to say anything at all? Would you like to? Or can you unmute yourself?
Okay, I'm unmuted. Yes, you are putting me on the spot. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
However, I did volunteer to come, and it was precisely for that reason, because I thought it might help people to meet someone who's just done the training.
Oh.
So I'm sort of here to answer any questions anyone might have, because I mean, I can talk about my experience, but maybe that's not so interesting. It might be more that people would have some questions, really. But on a personal level, it was transformational. There's so much I could say about it. It's almost like, well, where do I start? Things that mattered to me was the way it was structured. It was so well laid out. It was so clear, because I think when you're talking about 3 principles, it's quite hard to describe that to somebody who has no experience of it at all. What you did was create a structure for us, which was the form, that sort of allowed the formless to be held. Because if you don't have any structure, you have to know how to talk to different communities. You have to know how to put this into words. And then you have to create a space that enables someone to experience that for themselves. So there's a lot of holding. And I thought you did that with such grace and allowingness as well. And there was something in the training that there's no ego involved. Both of you are the most humble people I've ever come across. You have such expertise and such knowledge. And Rudy, you're a first generation teacher, and you never go on about it. You're so humble, and you're so willing to share everything and give freely, and you nourish and you support and you encourage us all to find our own voice, so that we're speaking from our experience, what we can see, and there's never any judgment. So that's how it was for me. And I just wanted to pick up on the thing about the online training, because I've done a lot of trainings in person, and I have to say this, and I thought it would be hard to get the sense of community if you're not actually in the room with someone, and that is so not true. We've got the most amazing group, and the fact that you can bond with someone who's the other side of the world, who you haven't met in real life, shows that it sort of transcends any boundaries, doesn't it? And that's almost like, well, that's what you're talking about, and it happens in that space. So that was really interesting for me to experience, to compare it to groups I've done in real life. And I thought, well, if anything, this group's even richer, and the bond is really, really strong. And then on a purely practical basis, it's all the stuff you said about, well, you don't have to get on a train, and you don't have to arrange childcare and all the rest of it. And if you can't attend something, you can watch the recording later. There's an amazing flexibility through doing it online. So you ticked all my boxes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Beth. I'll put the check put the check in the post to you later.
Oh yeah, you're also very good value. Some of the training that's out there.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
But if anyone wants to message me or has any specific questions, I'm really, really happy to be a resource, because we finished our training in September, so it's still very new. So yeah, I'm very happy to do that at any time.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much,
Beth.
Yeah. Beth's point there, we're about 1/4 less expensive than comparable trainings. It's not because we're not as good, it's because we want to make it affordable for people, hence why we've done it online. I trained in this with Sydney Banks and Roger Mills, the originator and the pioneer, for £1,000. Nowadays you need about £10,000, and so we wanted to I mean, I know the £3,000 may be out of some people's budget, and there is a lot of money for people. But the reason we're an awful less expensive is because it's online, and those other people have an enormous amount of costs that we don't have doing it online. And I understand why they have to charge that much. And I would charge that much if I did it in person. So there's no judgment here. But the reason we are a lot less expensive is because it's online, and we want to be of service to others. We don't want to make a fortune money.
And we want to share you with the world. We just want to get you out there that much more than we could if we charged more.
Yeah.
It's accessible.
Oh, so thank you so much, Beth. I hadn't even thought of that. So, Bria, you've got your hand up, my love. Did you want to say?
It was just a quick thing. Is it in pounds for everybody? Like, even if you don't live where there's pounds, I guess?
Oh, well, I guess whatever currency I will convert it to the equivalent in your currency. So the early bird for this month is 2,895. So I don't know, that's like $3,400 or something. I don't know, depending on where you live. Whatever the local
exchange rate is.
Yeah.
So it's that amount in pounds, and it gets exchanged into Canadian money, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions at all? Please feel free to type a message. If not, we'll get moving on the other part. I'll just be quiet for about 30 seconds and just see if anything else pops up for you guys. Okay.
Put that person's hand down.
Cool. Okay. So now, if you guys have got any questions now around facilitating the three principles, or coaching, or working with people, or earning money, or any questions you have around this understanding, please type it in the message. We kind of want to be of service to you, and it's helpful if we kind of know, so we can look at that. But okay, so this is Rudy Kennard's and Jules Kennard's description of this. Now, this is not the three principles. This is our personal opinion. Okay, here now. So, like I said earlier, to facilitate basically means to make easy. Education originally means to draw out from within. So for us as three principles facilitators, what we aim to do, or endeavor to do at least, is we create a space that draws out the presence within people that have got covered over by a whole bunch of erroneous thinking that just isn't true. And in the absence of what isn't true, there's just the truth of what is becomes more apparent. And when people realize, uncover, see, whatever word you want to use, the truth of themselves, they function so much better. It's a bit like, again, a metaphor, light bulb. Like everyone, again, it's a metaphor. Everyone's a 100-watt bulb. Nobody's 120 or a 40-watt bulb. Everyone's a 100-watt bulb. But some people have just more dust and grime over the light bulb than other people. That's the only difference between us energetically. It's not that some people are more spiritual or brighter. It's just that some people look brighter because they've got less stuff in the way, less dust on the light bulb. Now, the principles, like a definition of coaching would be imparting information and or instructions to improve the recipient's performance, knowledge or skill. Now, that's just a definition. And if you're a coach, you may work differently from that. For us, we're not imparting information. We're not trying to get people to achieve anything better. What we're fundamentally doing is we are creating a resonance or a feeling. And the resonance kind of shakes off the dust over the light bulb, because it's a reminder of what we truly are. And then we glow brighter. And the performance aspect is a natural implication of being in alignment with who we are. It's not something to work at or to strive for. It's just a natural side effect of seeing the nature of who we are. Now, there's a distinct logic. You could call this the three principles paradigm, if you will, or you could call it the three principles, or you could call it the nature of human experience. I don't really mind what words you use, but there's a very distinct logic that is hidden in plain sight. It's the missing link. Sydney Banks called this the missing link. We're living in a global paradigm that is attributing how we feel to the outside world, to situation, to circumstances, to the past. Now, if that is true, then we are victims to our past. We are victims to our circumstance. What we want to say is we're not victims. We are in spiritual beings. We are bright sparks of the divine walking around in human clothes. We're not victims to anything. And seeing the nature of how the human experience works via thought in the moment is one of the keys that shifts the dust off the light bulb. Then we identify much less with our thought-created identity, and we find ourselves starting to live within a much bigger bandwidth or perception of reality that can, and I'm not religious, it can sound like more of like a heaven on earth state. It's a state of beingness that comes from a recognition of what we are. And then the who we are functions so much better than before. So, I mean, I'm not interested so much in helping people sort this out. You uncover that, and that gets sorted out as a natural implication. Because when people are living from their hearts, they're not cruel. They don't do things to be harmful for other people. People spend a long time sorting this out. You can't correct thought with thought. If you've got thinking that's giving you a problem, whether it's insecure or anger or anxiety, you can't use thought to change thought. It's like trying to pull yourself off the ground with your own bootstraps. But you can go before, again, metaphor to the heart. Imagine the heart as a hairdryer, and the ego or the identity or this thinking we don't like as an ice cube. You can't really fix ice by throwing ice at it, but what you can do is you can start the radiance of the heart, the radiance of enlightenment, enlightening meaning to lighten up, melts the ice. The warmth melts the ice. And so what we share in the facilitator training is we really help people realign themselves with what they are to the heart. And many people have, I don't want to get too woo-woo here, but more like a oneness type experience or a dissolving. Not everybody, obviously, and people don't actually need to have that either.
It's just an uncovering.
It's just an uncovering.
We just hold mirrors up. Oh, Beth has her hand raised.
Yeah, go ahead, Beth.
I just wanted to throw another word in there, which it just creates simplicity.
Yeah.
Life just gets a lot more simple on so many levels. Apparently, without you having to do anything, it changes through understanding. And you're sort of raising awareness, developing understanding, and the implication of that is everything gets simpler. So for those in the community who wince at the word spiritual, that would be me, that you can use different language, and for me it was just an utter simplicity. Life just got easier. So I just wanted to throw that one in.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you,
I
Beth.
love that, because you see Beth is using completely different words and different perspective, and that's perfect, because it's really helpful to use different perspectives.
It's so helpful, and to have and when we're in our group, it's one of the other students said, but we all teach each other.
Mm-hmm.
We all help each other find that space within. And just somebody could say something and another person could get an insight from, I love this. Somebody could say something from China and then somebody from England could get an insight. And it's just so beautiful. There's so much growth, so much evolution.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Bria.
I guess for myself, what I've discovered is problems are complicated and complex, but solutions are always simple.
Oh, that's beautiful, Bria.
Yeah. Every time I've ever solved a really large problem that seems super complicated, the solution was always so simple, which is always a bit surprising, because you think, how could it be so simple when it seems so complex, the problem? But it always seems to come back to that. It's always simple, the solution, always.
Beautiful. There's power in simplicity. True power.
Yeah.
Like your metaphor of that person getting knocked out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember, Bria, well, you guys, many years ago, I used to be a tree surgeon. I used to climb up trees with chainsaws and swing around and stuff. But my boss, he managed, it's called a chairlift. It's like a lorry with a basket on the back that you can go up to trees. And he drove under a tunnel that was actually too small. He got the chairlift stuck in the tunnel. And I read, I don't know if there's an urban myth about a bus getting stuck under a bridge, and I didn't know how to get it out. And this small child said, well, why don't you just let the tires down? And so I thought, well, I'll give that a go. So I said, why don't we just let the tires down? And he's like, oh yeah. And we actually let loads of air at the tires, and it gave us about 1/2 an inch that we could back the chairlift out. So the answer is always simple, and there's a simplicity to this understanding. And like Beth eloquently said, Beth's always blooming eloquent, is too much structure and good ideas about the principles and processes and how-tos and ways-tos. It's really good for the ego to see all that stuff and all the stuff you can get, but it dilutes it. You want to go as simple as possible. One other metaphor, there's this magician called Dynamo, and he had this thing where there's this massive big butch guy, twice my body weight, and Dynamo had said, I bet I can knock you out with one hit. And the guy goes, I bet you can't. So Dynamo punches this guy in the stomach as hard as he can. Dynamo's a skinny English dude, like he's probably only weighs about 10 stone or something. Smack, the guy just kind of laughs at him. Then Dynamo kind of relaxes, he gets one finger, and then basically hits him with one finger. And then the big bulldog guy falls over and is knocked unconscious. This is like on TV. So when you take all this information, it's like, that's not going to be very powerful. But if you just get one point, one simple point, it's very, very impactful. That's the purpose of impact. I hope that kind of makes sense. So simplicity is the key. Okay. How are you guys doing? Have you got any questions around facilitating or coaching at all or anything? I've got a few other questions I could highlight, but I don't know where you guys are. No? Okay.
I remember with my experience after losing my son, I felt as though I died until this little dog came in. Every time I would cry, he would come in, and I would change my present thinking and bringing it to the present. And what I was experiencing is every time that dog came in, I had my thinking in the moment changed, but I didn't know how to articulate that. I did know that I felt better. So I moved forward with this feeling. And then that's when I experienced my daughter just a few months later getting into a fatal car accident. But yet I knew that it had something to do with my emotional response, my thinking and moment. And I tried to articulate this to people because I went through that with love and compassion. And I wanted to help people, but it's like I couldn't speak. I had no words to wrap around it. And so until I met Rudy and saw one of his animations, animation number 2, and I shook him. I said, "Oh my gosh, you're in my brain." And he said, "Well, I'm not just in your brain. There's a whole community out there." And then that's just got my marketing brain thinking, why doesn't the world know about this? It's something that can help cease so much suffering, can help save lives. And it's so beautiful and it's so simple.
No, and I think Jules's passion, because she used to work for Hagen Top Food, flew around in jets and things. She knows what she's doing with running businesses and marketing. So part of your passion is obviously to help the students.
Yes.
But it's if we can help the students get out there, then it actually helps the world. There's a big knock-on effect.
Right.
So us and say 20 students, it can be so much more leverage in the world with 22 of us than just 2 of us. So although we want to help students, and we do with their businesses and their website and social media, really it's for a larger gain as well.
Yeah. Gretchen?
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Well, I don't know if it's a question, a comment, or what it is, but I said yes to moving to Las Cruces, and it's like, at this point in my life, and it's not even about what I want to do. There's something, I don't know how to describe that. But what will show up for me? And I don't know. And I continue to do my art. I've got my art space set up, and and it's my whole house is coming together. And I've met some wonderful people, and to just be open. So I don't have a desire to earn money other than what I have. I mean, I have enough. And then there's the part of me that has the doubt that I could even be a facilitator of this. George Carver keeps telling me, "Gretchen, you can do this." And it's like, but what is this? And sometimes I think, oh, you're 80 years old. Yeah, I am 80. I'll be 81 in December. And then it's like, what difference does that make? But I can use it as a something or other to stop myself.
Yes.
And because I'm aware I'm a little scared of stepping out. As I say that, I really sense that. But I'm so much more open to exploring. And it's the last year and a half since George passed has been and before he passed, been just such an incredible experience. And there's more. But, it's that fear. that it's, you know, the thought that I'm 80, you know, what difference does that make? That, you know, it doesn't make any difference.
Right.
But so I don't know, you know, and I don't know what this costs in terms of US dollars. And so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Beth. Go ahead, Beth. Thanks, Gretchen.
Yeah.
Hi, Gretchen. I just wanted to say something about that. In our group, there were people who wanted to coach and facilitate, and there were people who just wanted to be. And it was still of benefit, because actually you could extrapolate, say that you make a difference just by being in the world, because you resonate, and this is a resonance-based training. So just your very presence is making a difference. Just like dropping a pebble into the pond, there's a ripple effect, and we don't always know who we've impacted.
Yeah, that's
Right.
And so that would be having just done the training and been in a very similar position to where you are at the start for different reasons. And I now know that it's enough just to be. It really is just to be. So I just wanted to offer that as a sort of reassurance, really.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Aw,
Beth.
thank you, Beth.
Yeah, you know what, Gretchen, that's so normal to the formlessness of mind, thought, and consciousness are so formless that how the hell do you put that into the form to talk to people? But what we found is, okay, this is how my one-to-one sessions go. I'm going to pretend with Jules, and I'm going to tell you what's going on in my head. Okay. So, hi, Sally, how you doing? So Sally starts talking, and then I'm thinking, okay, no idea what to say. No idea what to say. Keep talking, because I have no idea what to say. Well, I could say that. No, maybe I won't say that. Keep talking. Pause. Shit, she's paused. I still don't know what to say. So I'll ask another question. So could you say a bit more about what you mean by that? Oh, good, she's talking again. Talk. Bang, insight. Okay, how about this? So what happens, I'm in the unknown for most of my one-to-ones, but the space of the unknown is actually the all known, because for something fresh and new to arise, there has to be a space for it to come up. If there's the known, that something fresh and new is going to kind of, it can't get through. But when there's just a space, insightful coaching or insightful facilitating is feeling the fear of not knowing what to do and putting yourself in the space anyway. And again, I demonstrate this a lot on all the trainings. We do lots of one-to-ones examples, and I go through it. But it's very uncomfortable for people to work from this space, because it's a completely opposite space that I learned when I was an NLP, mind technology, hypnotherapist, psychologist. I had all these qualifications before, so it's a very different space from that. But practically having the students do this, like one of them, Chris, he knew all about it intellectually and theory based, but then when he came to doing the one-to-one or coming to doing the practicum, he started talking, and all of a sudden the words found him, and before long he was on a roll, and he could have been going for hours, but he only had like 25 minutes, and that gave him the embodiment of that. And there's something about doing it over and over again, Gretchen. You get more and more comfortable with the unknown. And it's when you're in the known that you're doing one-to-ones that you become uncomfortable, because you think, geez, I've got to get out of my head here and just listen with fresh ears.
Yeah.
So there's something about doing it and having a supportive group to create the structure for that is really important.
Yeah.
So don't worry, my love.
Well, the unknown is a fresh palette, a fresh canvas that you use every day. It's a creative potential that you don't really know what you're going to create, but you know that you're going to walk into the unknown with the always known. It's
sort of like for me, when I pick up a pencil
Yes.
and a blank piece of paper and the pencil begins to meander across the paper.
Yes.
And there are times I've been working on a drawing and I talk to it. Oh, you need some more graphite over here.
Yeah.
But what's going to go over here? I don't know yet.
Yeah.
And then I know if I watch it, that it will occur to me.
Right. Yes.
I have a relationship with the drawing, with the piece of art.
Mm-hmm. The unknown is that beautiful creative potential.
Yeah. So I know it when it comes to doing art.
Mm-hmm.
I get nervous,
Yeah.
you know, in this other realm.
Yeah. That is so normal, Gretchen. And it literally just means you're already doing it. The more we put ourselves in the space of doing, the more comfortable we get. A bit like with your drawing, you kind of trust the process. You start trusting the process of facilitating.
Yeah.
Because really, again, my and our definition of the principles, that may not be this for other people, is that you are being paid by somebody to take stuff off of their minds. Because it's in the subtraction of stuff on the light bulb that it shines brighter. You don't want to give people more to think about, which is adding stuff to the light bulb.
Right.
This space through which you subtract stuff off people's minds is the unknown. The unknown is the subtractive space. And so what will happen as students go through the training, they get it as a theory, they test it, they do one-to-ones, they do practicums, they start working with the space more and more and more over the 9 months, and then they get very comfortable with that space.
Yeah.
And then the space does the talking through them. And again, there's a very distinct logic to how life works. You know, I can hear it when people say, and I can kind of feed them back as well. But I don't want to talk about that yet because we're kind of running out of time. But is that helpful, Gretchen?
Yes, it is.
Cool. Yeah. And also, you've had a comment, you look way younger. And from our perspective, you look way younger than 80.
I know. I've always looked young.
Thanks, Gretchen. I've had a private message. Where are we? It says, it wasn't private. Do many of your group last year become paid coaches, facilitators by the end of the 9 months?
Oh my gosh, Charlie. I can't keep track of everybody. There's an individual that came on just wanting to deepen her understanding and get more of an embodiment, if you will, or uncover that embodiment. Now PBS is the public broadcasting system. She's on TV. She's writing books. She's working, getting it into the schools.
Yeah.
And everybody is just really networking from across the world. And it's just, so yes, to answer your question, yes. So, and then some.
Yeah. So not everybody, Charlie, to be honest, not everyone is going to be paid coaches immediately after finishing. Sometimes it can just take a while. You know, we've given them the structure, you know, how to do it, how to get clients, how to get paid on your website, how to get visible. So it takes a while with any business to get all that rolling. So once they've finished the training, they've got all the tools they need to get that rolling. So not everyone's immediately going to earn money, but we have had a few that has happened to, and other people, they don't want to coach, they just want to embody it. So they're not going to earn money because they don't want to. So
yeah, some of them aren't ready
Yeah.
yet, and are nervous about even putting their website out, publishing it. It's there, it's done, but they're just not ready to publish it yet.
Yeah, they're not. So. They just don't want to do it yet.
Yeah.
So for the people who do want to earn money and do want to get visible, then yes, they generally start earning a living pretty much straight after or during the course.
Yeah.
Is that all right, Charlie? Any other questions around? Yeah, cool. So Steve Fullerton, current conversion prices for the early bird pricing for the British pound currency works out at 3,710 US and 4,889 Canadian. Cool. Thanks for that, Steve. So I hope that is helpful. And obviously you don't have to pay that in one day. You can pay the deposit now or this month, then no more money will be taken out until January, and then it's over 9 months. Cool. Anything else? I think so. We've gone a little bit over. Is there any more questions about anything before we finish at all?
Just quickly, how many spaces are left? Are there any already been taken?
This is crazy. We only start advertising this. It's been on our site, but we hadn't had the testimonial videos up. We've only started advertising it a week and a half ago, and about half the spaces have gone already. So we would advise, if you want to book with us, to do it fairly soon. If you need time to get the money together, again, you can just pay a deposit that holds your space, and you've got until January to sort it out. So, and last year we had to, people couldn't sign up after a certain date because we were full again. So you've got time. If anyone's interested, you have got time. We have got half available spaces left at the moment. Cool. So Justine said, lovely conversation, Gretchen, Rudy, and Jules. Perfect. So please feel free to email us. Go to innateevolution.com. Have a look for yourself. Also on innateevolution.com, we've got loads of free videos. You don't have to, we've got about 600 free videos. You don't have to pay anything to view them. So there's lots of resources on there. And I guess I wanted to end it by pointing there, because this young lady here, before she came across the principles, she had lots of tragic things happen, spontaneously fell into a space where you facilitated. You worked in a local store, and so Jules is working in a local store in Hawaii, and you sometimes got lines of people, queues of people, queue if you're American, line if you're English, of people wanting to talk to Jules about stuff, heartfelt stuff, that my husband's left, my son, I don't talk to my son. And Jules facilitated tremendous transformation of these people before coming across the principles as we know them. Because why? How was that possible?
Because it just came from a space that is inside each and every one of you. It's not something that you learn. It's not something, a collection of data and then you apply it. It's an uncovering of it, and it comes from within. And the principles just helps that much more. It's beautiful. And I want to share it with the world and help you share it with the world.
So you lovely people, thank you so much for being with us. We'll put the recording up shortly. And we're going to say goodbye for now. Lots of love to you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.